The track meet has started, and you notice that in addition to the tunas, you've got some of these miniature tunas that are about 2 feet long. They look like tunas with black racing stripes down the side. Those are Pacific bonitos, and they are zipping in and grabbing their food and then getting out of there quick because they fit in some of the biggest mouths, and they rather not. So they don't spend any time out there like the tunas do. And then these other ones right up at the top with the big blunt head that look a little like dolphins or whales, those are in fact dolphin fish, also known as mahi-mahi. Oh, you're all looking in there different now. You're trying to picture that mahi-mahi on your plate with a bed of rice underneath it and some vegetables. You cannot pick your lunch out of our exhibit and have it meet you in the cafeteria. But they are a good eating fish. Some of you may know the Spanish name for mahi-mahi, which is dorado. Dorado is the Spanish word for the color gold, and if you keep an eye on those mahi-mahis, every now and then one of them won't be silver anymore. They change their color at will, and they can turn bright golden yellow. In fact, here's one with a yellow tail right now going by. Only the tail is yellow at the moment. Keep an eye on them and watch the colors change. And they also can do sky blue, and they can do a deep emerald green. So lots of fun color changes sometimes from the mahi-mahi. And then this is the vacuum cleaner crew right here. These about 10,000 sardines that are in here. They do not eat this food. It's too big for them to eat. But what they do is pick up all the little crumbs that are broken off of the bigger pieces of food as the larger fish are feeding. And so we don't have to vacuum up the tank when they're done. But those sardines fit in everybody else's mouth. And so they have to be pretty careful. It pays, if you're that small, to be very quick. And it also pays to have lots of friends, because that's lots of eyes to watch for the predators, and it also improves your own individual odds. It means that if a predator comes by and gets somebody, it'll probably be one of you and not me. And so they really usually hang out in schools that are absolutely huge. Now you notice that there was a lot of food got in there very quick, and it disappeared all at once. They just got going, and it's almost gone, except for 1 or 2 pieces at this point. That's actually only about 2.5 minutes for 90 pounds of food to disappear. I always figure that's a little bit like delivering pizza to a college dormitory. You just toss it in the door and get out of the way, and it's gone in less than 3 minutes. Now there were some animals that didn't get any food in here, and I just want to mention them quickly. Even though the feeding part is over, Tommy and Mike are working on cleaning up there. There are definitely some fish, and I know some of you noticed that the stingrays and the sharks and the ocean sunfish didn't get anything at all during this feeding. They're smart enough to stay out of the way for the most part. Those tunas that weigh anywhere from 200 to 600 pounds can swim 30 to 40 miles an hour. And the last place you want to be is in between one of those tunas and the food, because they'll just swim right through you to get there. And sharks and stingrays in particular don't have any bones in their skeleton. They're all made out of cartilage, which makes them very flexible, but it also makes them very fragile. If they were to get rammed by one of those tunas, they would get severely injured. So they're smart enough to stay out of the way. And then what we do is, here's one of the stingrays right here. We have some separate feeding methods to get the food to them. What we do for the sharks is we put the food on the end of a pole, and we just hand it to each shark individually, and then if a tuna gets there first, we can yank it back out and make sure it gets to the sharks. So that's the way we do it for them. The stingrays are another story entirely. Most stingrays eat their food in the ocean off the bottom of the ocean. Not so these pelagic stingrays. They actually eat schooling fish, and once in a while they'll try to grab a sardine out of this school, although they don't try very hard because they're not hungry enough. What they do is they swim into a school of fish and then roll on their back and roll up their wings like a big funnel, and they trap the schooling fish in that funnel. And in the wild, that's how they catch their prey. Well, what they do here is we put a target in the water for them over on the edge, and they swim over to one of our husbandry staff and lay on their back at the surface with their wings open like this, and we throw food on their belly, and then they wrap it up like that and eat it. And so you might see them at some point swimming around upside down up near the surface. They're begging for food at that point. It's probably because they know somebody's working up there. So all of these animals do get their own food at other times, but this feeding was designed primarily for the big fast predators. That's the tunas, the bonitos, and the dorados, or mahi-mahi. there's that group of bonitos right in the center there. So what I'm going to do now is I'll turn the microphone off, and I will stick around to answer questions for a while, and I can hand out Seafood Watch pocket guides. But please do pick one of those up if you're a seafood lover. Have a wonderful afternoon at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Thank you very much for joining me.